Hi friends, Joseph here and welcome to Home of Sound. We started Home of Sound in this podcast series with one main intention: to help artists, promoters, regular band owners, playlist curators and others in the music industry share their messages and vision of the world. And as a byproduct, we hope that these chats will make you get to know our guests as people, and that some of you will also get inspired by their stories, experiences, and work. Without further ado, enjoy today's guest. Manchester-based DJ and promoters Blasha and Allatt join us for a chat about the music industry and their background promoting and playing a growing number of parties in the UK and internationally. The duo, who has been developing a strong bond by working together for years, share their passion for music and experience about the natural ups and downs of the creator's journey. Blasha and Allatt were first introduced to each other by a common friend. They almost instantly enjoyed playing records together and started DJing back to back. Eventually, with an extended group of friends, they started Meet Free, a well-respected regular event in Manchester that allowed them to host artists such as Ben Sims, Haai, Surgeon, Hector Oaks, Nur Jaber, Sunil Sharpe, Claire Morgan, Manni Dee, Dr. Rubinstein, and many more. In this chat, we talk about their love for records and music, their history, and their learnings from working with other people, and also how they played Boiler Room, preparing for gigs, and the challenges of working as a duo. We discuss life experiences, including breaking Ben Sims' tooth, accidentally of course, and the ups and downs that creators, at least most of them, are likely to face. We look at how the scene is bound to evolve due to the recurring world crisis and the possibilities to have more space for the grassroots of the scene, the local artists. And we dig deeper into Blasha and Allatt's life ethos, doing what makes you happy and sticking to what you really want to do. Enjoy.
Thank you for being here. It's nice to speak with you.
No, thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you. Good to speak to you too.
Great. And I know like we chatted a little bit about like the situation of COVID. How has the life changed for you both like in the last month and a half?
So I've literally been at home for the past 6 weeks, I think. So yeah, it's completely different. Obviously having a lot more downtime, so that's cool. But yeah, it's a bit of a scary situation. With us both working full time, I guess it's just the worry of not having a job to go back to, and the impact that it's going to have on the industry too. So yeah, it's a bit scary, but I'm just making the most of it at the moment. So yeah, it's yeah.
We got to try.
What was that, sorry?
I was saying, yeah, we got to try to make the most of it.
Yeah, definitely. I think like I was furloughed from my job as of last Friday. So yeah, I've just been, it's still pretty, I guess there wasn't much change, like, because, you know, like I've worked from home before and stuff like that, but to do that for, I think, pretty much close to 2 months now for me, was pretty hard. So yeah, it's still a bit novel this week having like a week not working, so I'm pretty grateful for it. I think, like, you know, it could be like so much worse. Like as a close friend of mine, her mum was in like intensive care with it for like 3 weeks, and she's just made the most like miraculous recovery, and that sort of lifted obviously my spirits and like everyone around. So we just keep comparing it to, like, you know, it could be a lot worse. Yeah. Even if the DJ industry implodes as we know it, then, you know, I think we're still, if we're not affected by it or any close family members aren't, then yeah, we're still considering ourselves pretty lucky.
Yeah, just gotta look at the positives.
Yeah, most definitely. But yeah, for me, this has been my first week off, and I'm sort of, I must admit I am enjoying it. I think it was just really quite difficult having to look at a screen whilst both of your housemates are just like, you know, laughing and giggling because they haven't got to get up early for work and I'm still there slaving away. So
now you joined the team now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I think it's important to look at the positive sides, and I think I agree with you. Like, it's so long as we have health, like everything else is like
yeah,
doesn't matter.
yeah. I think to start with, everyone was like, you know, I think because nobody knew the sort of size of the situation and how much of an issue it was. I think everybody was a bit maybe more focused on, you know, oh damn, my gigs, I've lost my gigs, or I can't go to, you know, can't go on holiday. And then now it's just like we're even grateful to just like, yeah, to, I guess, to just have family safe, friends safe. It's sort of like, as the whole situation has developed, it's just like actually nothing else really matters, just staying safe and just, you know, knowing that your friends and family are there when everything's lifted and you can go back and resume. So like, I think DJing has definitely taken a back seat in my mind. Obviously I miss it so much, but it's not the be all and end all, I don't think.
Yeah, no, the same.
Yeah, and it's like, I know that I saw on the Instagram of Meat Free that you have raised money to support workers in the industry, and congratulations. I saw that you raised more than 9K that you're gonna donate to. Is it to a specific group, or is it to people around Meat Free?
So yeah, we can't actually take credit for it. It was like some core members of the Manchester and Salford scene, like one of them being Alice, who we run Meat Free with. It was like a group of people, including the guys from Haai Hoops. They really are the legs behind it, so I've got to give full credit to them. And basically they've set up this amazing sort of campaign. And yeah, I mean, I can't remember what the last figure is now, but yeah, it's definitely heading towards the 10K mark, and it's just to help people that have like lost their job, you know, for any of the clubs in Manchester and Salford, and then, you know, they sort of open up an application process for them to you know, to apply to get some money to cover just like basic costs and whatnot. But they've just done amazing, and like we shared it off our socials, as you would have seen. But yeah, it's just, I didn't think it would go as well as it did. I just didn't think, you know, that amount possible. But yeah, they've really killed it. So really proud of what they've done.
Yes, congratulations. I mean, I think it's a great initiative, and it also brings to mind that we are probably very united even when we are not physically together. I think people feel that.
Definitely. Yeah. And it would highlight the fact that people do still want to, like, there's still money there and people can still donate even if they're not working. Obviously everyone's like being a lot more cautious with spending, but you know, there's still the money there and people want to use it to support other people. So yeah, I'm really, really proud of them.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, it's a good initiative. It goes back to doing the best of the situation. It's like there is a lot of unity, connection of people still in this weird situation.
Definitely, yeah. It does make you proud to be a part of the scene.
Yeah, and one question that came actually from someone in our audience from Instagram. What do you think is the future of the scene? And this can be beyond COVID. So where do you think the techno scene of the underground electronic music scene is going? Is there anything that is changing?
Yeah, I think probably there's going to be more of a focus on local DJs and up and coming artists, and hopefully not just around like a huge headliner, because being promoters ourselves, obviously the costs of like booking these headliners, like after this situation, people aren't going to be able to afford it. The guys that are coming to the parties, they're not going to be able to pay the ticket prices that we'd need to charge. And to be honest, I'm quite happy because we were sort of heading that way with our bookings. Like we wanted to look at, you know, sort of not booking massive headliners and just booking up and comers. So I think if the focus is around like local artists and up and comers who, you know, really want it, then yeah, it can only do good for the scene.
Yeah, I feel like the bubble had to burst. The whole business techno, like, sort of like the whole scenario was just getting too much. Just the price that agents were charging and the sort of demands, just you can't even book a flight for a DJ. It has to go through an agency, and that itself just like probably doubles, if not triples, the price of a standard flight.
Yeah.
They're not like, DJs are still human at the end of the day. They're not and shouldn't be treated as gods. And it's always one thing that's like vexed me. Just, I think we've always been lucky at meat free, but it has started to creep that way more so in the last 2 years. The demands. I know now that if we were to book some of the DJs that we booked earlier on, if we book them now, I know their fees, like it's still established artists, I know that their fees would be probably twice, if not, moving to 3 times what we would have paid for them back then.
Yeah.
And I know all of these like stupid demands that come in. I mean, I just think, I don't even know sometimes if it's the artist that allows this to happen, but they willingly do contribute to that.
Yeah.
Because, if they still know what's on their rider, they still know what has been requested, and I
still know how much they're getting paid as well.
Exactly.
So they definitely know that.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, it's always been a very, like, we are notorious. I would say, well, we probably are like always, I mean, every single promoter always tries to get the best deal, don't they? But also, I think it has to be at some point real from, you look at the size of the venue. We put our parties on, like the White Hotels, a 300 cap venue, and some of the prices that get asked. I mean, we tried to book someone, very popular DJ at the moment, and we put a request in, and I think it came back for like £5,000.
Wow.
But if you can imagine that we need to pay for the cost of the venue, and everything on top of that, at a 300 cap venue, I don't know where the agents,
artists are going to have to cut their fees, and quite dramatically, I think, if they want to play, because the larger clubs aren't going to be opening anytime soon, so it'll be the smaller clubs. So if you want to play, you're going to have to cut your fees by at least 50%, I'd say, for the bigger artists. So.
Sure.
And I think it's the first time we've ever had the industry turned completely on its head. Where you've got can we call the small fish at the bottom are going to be calling the shots, and I think it's really interesting, and I welcome it. And I'm just looking forward to seeing how the bigger DJs, maybe medium tier DJs respond to this, because like you say, we just can't have the ticket prices. Like £20 tickets are probably still going to be just, it's going to be too difficult for people to afford that if they've lost the job or they've had reduced hours or whatnot. So I think we're going to see a very different scene. I really hope we do. Something quite dramatic to change and to shake it up, and because otherwise we would have just kept going, like fees would have just kept going out of control, I guess.
For sure. It seems to be a much needed reset of the whole scene that can bring. My hope is also that it's going to bring some more space for smaller artists, for people who are up and coming to play, because I guess them being more available, you don't need to pay for flights. They're going to be even more difficult to take, and being cheaper than headliners are going to be. It's an incentive for promoters to book them. So I think it might be like a good thing for everyone.
Definitely.
Yeah, just hope that the clubbers are ready for it.
Yeah,
and don't expect to still see these headliners.
It's also I guess
they've got to support the scene as well.
I guess it has to change from every aspect, doesn't it? From agents to DJs themselves to the clubs, and most importantly the clubbers. It's
interesting. Like, I think a lot of people in the industry are, at least the ones I spoke with, believe that a lot of the price is being pushed up by festivals. That is because essentially it's like having a club that has 10 times more capacity. so they can afford bigger fees, and that becomes the benchmark for headliners that then gets translated into smaller club nights. But then the economics that don't stack up, especially I think in UK is very tough, because the rental price of venues, the cost of running the venue, opening the show, just just opening the club is like thousands of pounds, and then you put the staff cost, equipment cost if you rent it out. It's just very, very hard to pay these fees.
It's so difficult to put a party on. I mean, if I was like starting out again, I don't think I would probably have the confidence to put a part, to promote a party.
Or the money.
Yeah. Like I'm glad it happened when I was probably a little less bothered about those aspects. But so fair play to anybody sort of starting.
And hopefully, we will find different and better ways to run parties, to get people together. Yeah. And talking about Meat Free, which is I think I've read your second party. You started with another one called Fundamental. That was
it didn't last.
It didn't last. Okay. Do you wanna tell us a bit more about the Fundamental, and then how then became Meat Free? What's behind the Meat Free idea?
Yeah, so I guess Fundamental, I can't remember how many people ran it. Can you? I think there must have been at least 10 of us.
Wow.
And it was like when we first started partying in Manchester, wasn't it? So, I mean, as fun as it wasn't ever going to go anywhere. We didn't have any money commitments with it, did we? So it was just a case of sort of playing it really and partying. But I guess the thing that went wrong with that one was that there was just too many cooks. So, it was mainly male that were part of it, wasn't it? I guess off the back of that, that's how we started Meat Free.
Maybe as a sort of counter, sort of what's the word?
Reaction or
to sort of the way that things had panned out with Fundamental. It was all very
chaotic.
Yeah, and it was just very complicated, and I think we just wanted a simplified sort of version of that, and just without the drama, which was what we got really. Yeah, it worked
for sure. And essentially, the trouble with the too many cooks in the kitchen was that it was chaotic, or it was complicated to make decision, or something else.
I think it was because one person, it was basically a guy that was he was the booker for a club called Sound Control before it shut. I think it shut a couple of years ago, but he was the booker for it, and ultimately he had all of the the control over everything, and we were just sort of maybe there to, I don't know, maybe to just help guide and to be residents and stuff like that. So we never really ever had full control, but then that's why Meat Free was spawned, because we just wanted our own say and our own control of who we booked, and that's how it came about, and it was it's the best thing we did. So I'm really happy for that experience and grateful for it, even though it was pretty testing at the time. But it's good to go through things like that.
I'm glad we did that first before Meat Free. Definitely taught us a few lessons. So
I guess they probably allowed you to do Meat Free in a much better way, because you tested everything.
Definitely.
There was we had a chat with Bas, who is one of the two main promoters of Vault Sessions, the Amsterdam party, and he said we did a lot of mistakes, and he said but I started interpreting them as learnings, so it's just a way for you to learn something new, so next time you do it better.
Definitely.
Any mistakes or any things that didn't work that you have learned something from, that you managed to translate into to bring to Meat Free?
Mistakes from Fundamental,
or maybe from the earlier days of Meat Free.
probably we made a few mistakes in the early days of Meat Free. I think when we first started actually booking artists, because to start with it was just on a pay what you want basis,
Right.
and those parties were fine because we didn't really have to pay anything out. But I think it was the second party when we booked a couple of artists. It was Ewan and October. We lost quite a bit of money on that one.
Yeah.
I'd say like the lineup probably didn't really suit as well. So maybe after that we sort of had more of a focus on, you know, what lineups sort of what artists go together on a lineup.
Yeah.
And I think it was it Alice that wanted to book. I can't remember. It was a while ago anyway. Yeah. But yeah, it was. I'd say we sort of learned from then on that, you know, you sort of got to make the lineup a bit more cohesive.
Yeah, it was important to focus on. I mean, you don't want to like focus on trends at all because you want to book who you want to book. But I do think in the early days it does. It definitely benefits you to book maybe more of a name to get you get your foot in the door on the scene, so people like, you know, want to come to the party, and then you can sort of go down your own paths of you know, if you want to book up and comers, if your name's established, then you can go from there. And I see that a lot with, you know, like High Hoops, when they first started their party, they went in big with DJ Sprinkles.
Yeah, Marshall Jefferson.
Yeah, Marshall Jefferson and stuff like that. So it really put them on the map, and then now they're just like one of the most, you know, successful promoters in the UK for their, you know, their genre of music.
Yeah. Because I guess that brings enough people to then get to know you as artist community, and then eventually you create your own community, and they trust you. You can bring less known DJs. So I guess that's the idea. Yeah. It's a bit of like getting remixers to remix you, let's say, more known remixers than your core artists in the label, because that brings additional people that might end up following the label work. Similar to
exactly.
Yeah.
So
and in Meat Free, what is the idea behind the name? I was very curious about that.
Yeah. So basically, there was six of us to start with, and we were all girls. And it was just a joke, to be honest. It was Alice that came up with it. We couldn't think of a name for the event, so she was like, "How about Meat Free?" We just laughed in her face. We were like, "No, we can't be called Meat Free." And then it just sort of stuck. And the meaning behind it is basically because it's ran by all girls, that we've got no meat.
Yeah, no man.
No. Yeah. So that's basically it. But then obviously it's got other meanings, like sort of no sort of dickheads, like no meatheads. So yeah.
Got it. Interesting.
That was the main sort of meaning behind it.
But it's always the way, isn't it? It's something that you say as a joke usually ends up sticking, and that's, you know, and it's definitely given us like a bit of a, like, there's been a bit of curiosity about it, so I guess that's good for people wanting to know a bit more about the night. And
to be fair, when we first started out as well, people just used to think that it was like a lesbian night. So I don't know why, but just because of the name, and because we were all girls, they thought that it was only girls that could come to the night as well. But obviously when we started booking sort of more established artists, these people sort of realised that that wasn't the case at all. So it's quite funny, really.
Yeah, it was. I think
we got a bit of jip to start with, didn't we?
Yeah, but I do actually like it now after all these years.
It becomes part of you, exactly. So especially when people start connecting that to the vibe, the party, like that. That's it's almost like it's being generated organically.
Yeah, and we don't take ourselves too seriously as well, so I think that sort of
all plays in.
That's great. And talking about you as a duo, as a DJ duo, like what is something that is very hard that when you work as a duo? So you live together, you play music together, you probably travel together a lot. And what is something that is like, fuck, I wish we could do that better?
Yeah, I think when we first started, it was a bit more of a struggle, wasn't it? I'd say now we have our ups and downs now, but like sort of when we first started, like sometimes our sets lacked a bit of direction. So, or one person would want to play one sort of style and then the others, and we're sort of playing off against each other. So that was a bit of a struggle to start with, but I'd say now that our tastes have probably aligned quite well, and like we sort of just bounce off each other most of the time. So
definitely, yeah, I reckon it was really difficult.
Like it did take a while though. It took a good few years before we sort of started actually gelling together as, you know, a duo. So,
and we're lucky in that sense that we live together. So if that wasn't the case, maybe it wouldn't have happened as quickly or at all. You know, just having the ability to just go and have a mix whenever you want. And it used to be, you know, we'd plan DJ sets. We'd never plan them obviously track for track, but we would like sort of, it would be a bit more regimented and a lot less like free. Yeah, it just used to be quite a chore, put it that way. And it was like, because you didn't really have that freedom to just play what you wanted. But then, as Tash said, as it sort of just came together, and now we sort of just like come from the same place. So it's much more fun now, and we don't really have to take as long planning our sets. Sometimes not at all. You know, there have been times where we've just not planned and it's still gone well. So I take that as a good sign.
Yeah. Do you practice a lot together?
Not as much now. I feel like the past couple of years, like it was getting a bit too much, to be honest, as well. Like we were practicing for like maybe, God knows, like a full day sometimes for one set,
and it was like an hour or two.
But we were preparing before that, like sorting records out, and it was just the more gigs we were getting, the harder it was becoming. So we sort of set ourselves a bit of a challenge to sort of not practice as much, but we still have a mix for a good few hours before a set, I'd say, but sometimes we feel like we don't need to, or
it's more just out of enjoyment. Then so for example, we'll have a set and we'll play, you know, the type of set we think we should play, and then it'll just go off in a direction where we just play and just have a laugh. And so it's a bit nicer now. It's definitely a bit less stressy. And we're in a good place with it, thankfully.
What goes into the typical preparation? Like, do you have rituals that help you prepare? Do you have tools, ways to sort your records or USB sticks? Anything like that? Or is it now you have experience working together, experience playing, so you don't care, you just go with whatever you have and then you figure it out on the spot?
I guess the main thing is we need to have a chat before the set and sort of speak to each other and see what sort of direction we want to take it in, just to make sure that we're on the same wavelength. I suppose if we were playing on, because we do generally just play on records, so if you're playing on a USB it might be a bit easier because you've got your whole, you know, collection there on your USB. I'd say we need to have a little bit more direction because we can only take so many records with us, but generally I'd say we are on the same wavelength. So, but preparation wise, I'd say just having a dig through your records, picking up some old gems, we do tend to buy new records for pretty much each gig, even if it's just a couple. But I don't really like to play the same track too many times. So but I guess there are a few that we do rinse a little bit.
Do you steal each other's tracks? He's like, I want to play that. No, you don't. You're not gonna play it.
Yeah, like,
we have had a few.
Yeah, like we'll what usually happens, and we'll usually really piss each other off. Like as soon as one of us has a like if we get like a Juno delivery or whatnot, like more so than ever, the other person will like look at, like they'll open their records, the other person will look through it, and then we'll be like, got that, and it'll really piss like, for example, if Tash does it to me, she'll be like, got that.
We just like winding each other up.
Or sometimes even if I don't have the records that she's bought, I'll just say got that one's coming in the post, got that one too. And we just like to piss each other off and pretend that we had that track first. But
there is a bit of an etiquette, isn't there? Because like if somebody's bought the record maybe a month before, we'll allow them to play that record for a bit before you're then allowed to play it.
Yeah. So if you broke the record in the studio, then you have like you're okay to play that.
Full rights over
it. And then when nobody else wants to hear it because it's like a dead record and it's been played too much, like then I can play it. Yeah.
You pick it up again.
But we do buy a lot of the same music, I think, because obviously our tastes are aligned with a lot of more recently than before. We've got the same.
And I guess working together so much, like you eventually develop some kind of it's almost like you co-develop some kind of taste of music. You shape each other's musical taste and
exactly. Yeah, it's exactly that. I think we're so lucky that at different points one of us has sort of gone in a different direction, but the other one like has been really inspired by that, and that's encouraged us both to start digging more into the background of that subgenre of techno or what else, and then like vice versa. So it's almost like we're both like pushing, and that's something I'm really quite happy about, because it's not just one way.
We probably wouldn't have done it if we were on our own. Like we probably wouldn't have been here.
No.
So it's nice that we're on this journey together.
Yeah, it is very nice. Like, is there anything that you think being together help you individually develop? Like, I mean, like the relationship that you have. Is there anything that contributed to each of your lives? So, for instance, something you learn from each other, or
yeah, I think I definitely think we've pushed each other, because there's like positives and negatives that anyone can say about doing it on your own or doing it with two people. Because I think it's like a confidence thing as well. It's sort of like maybe at times where I've just felt like stuff wasn't going great. I wasn't feeling my sound or my abilities, and then having Tash there to be like, no, we can do this, and we've done it before. And I know vice versa, like we both have, naturally as creatives you have insecurities, and you're always like battling with yourself, and I think to have someone else as a sounding board definitely helps. So I would say at times where I've felt sort of not as sort of driven and stuff, then it's good to have Tash to sort of like pick me up, I guess, and keep going. So that's a positive I can take from it.
And self-doubt, it's something, it's crazy. Like I think it's normal for everyone in general, like, and for artists especially. Every time you put something out, like there's going to be someone who doesn't like it, for sure.
Definitely. It's really, it's quite scary. You're always going through this like, does anybody like with a mix for us, you'll put it out and you think, is this going to be well received, or did that set go okay? You just don't, like, you can sort of gauge it from the crowd's reaction, but weirdly there's times where we've played and we thought it was just terrible, and just thought it was awful, but then we'll have like tens of people coming up and saying how good a set it was, but yet we won't feel confident about it ourselves. And then there's times where we've played like really, really good, and then not that we need anybody to come and tell us, but it's just weird because nobody would say anything.
Yeah.
And then you think, oh, that was, you know, it was quite a good set. But
Yeah.
so I always find it's the times where we feel really down about a set that we have really good feedback. So
maybe we need those people to pick us up then after
yeah,
it.
no, yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, it's good to have like for sure like a close support, someone who's there like being your cheerleader in a way that even when
Yeah.
That's Jodie, our housemate, usually.
Yeah,
exactly. When you drag them to the gigs and like
yeah,
they get super drunk because they don't even like the music in general, they don't like the club.
yeah, just someone that'll dance to anything.
They're like, yeah, your music sounded great.
Yeah, you do need that. I think like it would be lying if you said it doesn't feel good to hear people say they enjoyed your set. Like at the end of the day, you know, personally, like it's so up and down with DJing. You know, sometimes you'll feel amazing after a set, and you know, and you sort of your sort of confidence as a DJ so is sometimes, and actually most of the time, depicted by how well you think it went. So you can have an amazing gig and you'll feel on top of the world for the week, and you have a bad gig at a party you really wanted to perform at, and then you'll feel really down and like you'll look at everything, you know,
just start doubting yourself.
Yeah, so it is a constant up and down, like, and I think it's important to know that for anyone getting into DJing, you're just constantly gonna, you know, be up and down. But you know, most of the time, it's definitely got a lot better though. Recently, I think we made a decision to sort of stop playing certain gigs and which we knew were bringing us down, like certain just certain, you know,
if we didn't get a good vibe from something, then decided like best not to just accept everything. So yeah, and I think that's really helped with like you know, like how we viewed DJing and how positive the experiences have been. So if we've been having, you know, we went through a period of having a brilliant run of gigs for, you know, a couple of months, 3 months or something, and every gig was brilliant, and I think that was reflected in the decision we took, you know, to just not accept every gig, like you say. There's a real power to saying no.
It's very interesting, and I think a lot of that comes down to, I mean, we're all humans, so we tend to overweight stuff that are negative. So we get one negative feedback and we feel like super shit. We get the same equivalent good feedback and it's like, yeah, great for 10 minutes and then it's like gone.
Yeah, exactly. It's so bizarre that the human brain is locked into the negative, and that one negative can outweigh everything and all the good positive things that have come before it. It's just strange, but
evaporate.
Hopefully we can get out of that mindset one day.
I mean, it's even the fact that you are aware, I think is also like it's a big step, because you know that is the case, and you are being selective with the gigs you want to dedicate time to. So eventually that would snowball into you feeling much better about everything you do, about all of your work.
Definitely, it's definitely good.
I was speaking with Manni Dee a few weeks ago, and then he told us, actually on this podcast, he told us his first gig at Berghain, and he was like super happy because he went there with the idea, oh, it's a super open crowd, he had a lot of fun. And then he got trolled on the internet by a lot of people who were saying, oh, this was shit, it sucked, I went home. Like imagine that. That's,
oh my God, that's got to be one of the worst sort of things to read on the internet.
But he's very conscient or conscious of that, and then he's aware of that, and then it's like, I mean, like, what can I do? I don't give a shit eventually. I'm still here, I still like doing my music. So and I think that's also the realization, whenever we put something out, there's going to be someone who doesn't like it, and we need to be able to face that, otherwise we're doomed.
You have to accept the good and the bad at the same time. Like, I mean, to touch wood, to this point, we've not really had too much sort of criticism, and
not to our knowledge anyway.
No, to like online and stuff like that. but obviously I know people talk, and it's just natural. Like, we do it ourselves. Like, if you're not feeling the DJ set, you just go.
Yeah.
You just
But
leave.
I wouldn't start like trolling them on the internet though.
No, people
there's no need
very
for that.
strange. Yeah, I would never.
Just don't listen to them if you don't like it.
Yeah, I think definitely you're a next level type of person if you have to, put it on the internet and know that's going to contribute to someone feeling pretty shitty.
How do you have time just to go and I don't know, write a shit comment to someone else's?
Just move on. Like,
well, okay, interesting. But one thing about talking about time, like so you both have full-time jobs and you are promoters. You play, you DJ, which means you also need to select a lot of music. You also produce music. How does your typical day pre-coronavirus look like?
So I work 4 days a week, and 3 of those days I do 12-hour shifts. So on those days I do nothing music related because I'm just so tired. So literally I'm off on a Monday, so that's generally my day to go in the studio. I'll generally be writing music on that day or preparing for a gig. And then the weekend is generally just preparing for gigs or playing out. So yeah, I'd say that's probably my working week.
Yeah, my job, I started my new job like last September, and it's been like literally one of the busiest periods of my life. Like, my job was really took every sort of last bit of energy from me. So but I've thoroughly enjoyed it. So the last but I'd probably say the last 5 months, more importantly, have been like super, super busy. So probably had been struggling to balance, but everything was really at the weekends. And anything that, obviously during the week and stuff, I mean, usually like I'll listen to music and stuff through the week, and then sort of like collate that into like, if I'm ordering it, unfortunately I don't have time to go to record stores, because obviously we've been at work during the week, and then on the weekends we're usually DJing or preparing for like gigs or making music or whatnot. It's been really difficult to sort of go into record shops and stuff, which is a shame. But yeah, like I order pretty much all my stuff from sort of either Bandcamp or mostly Juno. So yeah, like through the week I'll just go through, I'll see all the new releases and stuff, and then like collate that over the course of the week, and then when I get a spare like hour or something, I'll go through it again. Like I'll put stuff in my basket during the week, and then order it and go from there, or listen to promos and stuff that gets sent. But so it's been a bit different the last sort of 5-6 months, to be fair. So everything has been pretty much squeezed into the weekends, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think you've been struggling with time more so.
Yeah, definitely. Not now.
But you can go to record stores anyway now.
Yeah, exactly.
And we can't afford to buy records at the moment. So
yeah. Although I did manage to, just before like my last paycheck, I got a bunch of records off Juno, knowing full well that I shouldn't have done it, couldn't afford it, but these might be the last ones I get for a while. So
yeah, but you supported also the industry, so let's put it this way. So
yeah, I did see it like that, and I've donated to like quite a few sort of like campaigns and like sort of more crowdfundery things. So, and I've bought a few bits and bobs here and there, like a T-shirt and stuff like that. So yeah, I think there's other we're lucky that we are still getting paid to some extent. So. Yeah, I think I'm still due to spend a bit more money. Still got some mixes coming up, so that's the justification for it now. So
makes sense.
Yeah, but to be fair, there's not been as much like coming out really. You know, there's not been nowhere near enough music, and it makes sense. Obviously, people are sort of maybe holding off.
Yeah.
But I've not seen as much new stuff come onto like the record stores.
Had a lot of promos though, haven't we?
Lots of promos, yeah, but just not physical.
Yeah.
Records.
It's interesting because I guess like producing vinyls now is harder than ever, because it's just the supply chain of materials is blocked, and it's very hard for people to do it, to invest the money. But I think digital music, I think probably because people are putting more music out there, I think it's even harder for people to discover music. Me and friends of mine are releasing more music these days, and even promos the response has been less when we send out promos, because I think people don't have gigs, so there's less reasons to actually select music, but also there's probably too many promos that everybody's got.
Yeah, it's a shame, isn't it, really? Because like people are putting everything into that body of work, and then for it to happen during this period is really quite difficult. You know, I think people are switching off a lot as well. I think they're like being like presented with this really weird time where they can do whatever they want and see who so we just do whatever they want during the day, and sort of almost it can be counterproductive to because I know that I sort of probably like just switched off a little bit and just wanted to like, you know, de-stress from work and the situation, and have maybe just like put the barriers up a little bit and want to do it again on my own time.
Yeah, I mean, we've not obviously been going out, so where are you getting your inspiration from? It's not felt inspired. So
no, and I don't think people should feel obliged to be making music. Like, you know, some people are just always going to do that, but I don't think you should feel obliged to. You know, it can be like a time where nobody really wants to do anything, and just, you know, if you're not, a lot of my friends I've been speaking to, DJs, producers, not all of them have been very inspired. So I think we should make that a bit more, make people a bit more aware it's okay to feel uninspired and not creative, and just to exist. If you want to just exist and watch Netflix and stuff, you can, and shouldn't feel guilty for it, because nobody gets a chance to sort of relax to this extent, I guess.
It's another reset, like a human reset. So
hopefully for it.
Hopefully it's going to benefit a lot of us, like also disconnecting from a lot of superficial stuff that we might get stuck into.
Definitely.
And in terms of like, so your sets are, your music, your selection is quite diverse. Like you tend to mix in your mixes a lot of stuff, like let's call them subgenres, but like different styles of music, which I think is unique also being in the underground music scene, because a lot of people tend to be, let's say, I wouldn't say monochromatic, but they tend to stick to one type of style. Because I think the idea is that becomes their own signature sound, while you kind of have a broader selection. What do you think is, like, what are your thoughts on that? Like, do you feel you have a broad selection of music? Do you want to have that and have like a lot of different music in your sets? And do you think is that useful to is that representative of what you believe in music?
Yeah, I think we probably used to have more of a broader selection, didn't we, when we first well, maybe not when we first started out, but maybe a few years back, we used to sort of mix it up. We'd be playing electro, house, techno. I'd say more so now it is mainly just techno, isn't it?
But we do move through subgenres of techno. It's not just one style of techno for the whole set, and that's how we sort of build our sets. We don't sort of like to play one style, and we do switch it up within the realms of techno, I guess, now. It's that keeps it interesting for us, and that's how we plan our sets. So we'll have sections. So as long as we sort of will discuss like, okay, what sections we're taking with us, and then we build a set through that, so we know that, you know, if one of us dips into that to that section, and we know the other person is covered to sort of follow suit. So that's how we've had to like physically arrange music when we take it to gigs.
Yeah, I think you can sort of tell like from the crowd as well when you need to change it up a little, because it can get a bit monotonous. So yeah, I think now though, like we sort of used to have to say to each other, shall we change it up? But now it's like we just do it, and we know like when's the right time to do it. So yeah.
But I mean, we can always we've always been able to play a range of genres and stuff, so something we feel comfortable in, but maybe getting less so because we've probably not been buying music of that, like we'll buy the odd bit and whatnot, but probably don't buy as much varied music as we used to.
Not enough to build a set from anyway.
No, and we'd have to sort of it would probably be a bit more difficult. But yeah, we do feel comfortable playing anything, and we're not scared to play like jungle or just like rave and stuff like that in our sets, and still sort of like marry it into a techno set if we wanted to. I think it just really depends on like the crowd. Like we played at Chapter 10 this year, sort of pretty much just before everything kicked off really with the pandemic, and that was like one of those occasions where like we played mainly techno, but we were also like playing a little bit of like booty, electro and stuff like that, and the crowd, that you could just play anything with that crowd, and almost you want to play something a bit more fun. You don't want to just give them like 4/4 straight all night, because the crowd's about so much more. So yeah, we can switch up, and I do enjoy playing booty so much. So always one of my fave things to play.
Yeah, I love that too, and I think I fully agree with you. It's down to the crowd eventually. Like there are some crowds that enjoy slightly different things, and in a way, I think it's nice to have an interaction. So not being there and being like, oh, I'm just gonna play whatever I want to play. Listen more to the feedback to the crowd, and then you build your sets as diverse as the crowd can be, I think.
Yeah, definitely. The crowd has a big part to play.
Yeah.
How you shape your sets.
Yeah, and interestingly, I think I've been seeing more and more music from techno associated labels that is a bit more diverse. So there's a lot of like drum and bass coming back, or type of lo-fi house, hardcore as well that is coming into the techno labels. I think that will translate into sets. A lot of hardcore,
like we've seen like quite a lot of like the last couple of years, haven't we? Like a resurgence of like rave and UK hardcore into like incorporated into techno and stuff. Like maybe sort of like I feel like Dax J was like one of the ones like like when he was like just coming up, he was like really bringing that sound, and it was like really fresh for everyone to hear. Like he was so different in what he was doing. And I still think we're riding out that wave at the moment. It's maybe coming to an end, that sort of ravey, sort of stabby, fast, like 140 maybe plus techno now. It's probably, well, just that sound anyway, like definitely stuff is getting faster and staying fast, which I'm happy about. But I'm intrigued to see how stuff sort of progresses at the moment. I definitely feel like we've gone into more of sort of like we're seeing sounds and styles reminiscent of like the early 2000s, like Glenn Wilson sound and stuff, and I love it. This for me, it's like really interesting to see like this sound coming back. It's my favourite. So I like it's been recycled but very well.
It's an interesting moment, and also I think things are cyclical to a certain extent. So now it's going, I guess, like if story repeats itself, like there was the 90s when the music was kind of similar to what it's getting to now, and then after that there was the huge minimal super slow time. So it was almost like went up with energy and speed, and then it went down to the other direction. let's see if it happens the same way, or maybe we shift to something else as a taste.
Yeah, no, I wonder if it could be back to. It'd be interesting to see if we start playing slower. Like interestingly, I was going through my records, and there was like some records which like I really loved, like maybe like 2015, 16 vibes. And I was trying to play it into like the music I'm buying at the moment, and they just didn't go fast enough to reach it. And it's interesting to see that like music sort of settled around like 135, 136 max.
Yeah.
A few years ago, like, well, what was,
we would have dreamt of playing 140 plus back then.
No, and and yeah, it's just really interesting. Like I was like, oh, I can't play this record, I can't take it out of me, because I know we'll be playing 143 by the end of the night or something like that, and it just wouldn't fit in. So it's quite interesting.
It is interesting, and it's interesting what Tasha, you were saying. Hopefully not. We don't go to the slow music. I don't know why. Like everybody, I seem to know that is into music. It says like, I hope like we never go back to the minimal years. I don't know why. It's like I don't know why it pisses so many people off. Like
I suppose I'm just not into that sort of sound. Yeah. Never have been. Like it doesn't do anything for me. So yeah.
So interesting, because I remember like I come from Rome in Italy, and that was huge. Like the whole minimal thing was crazy huge. Like everybody was playing that stuff, listening to that stuff, going to the clubs, they were playing that stuff. And somehow if you ask people about that music now, everybody says, no, I'm never going to.
Oh, really?
It will definitely come back around though. Yeah. It will definitely come back around, and I imagine in 10 years or whatever, there'll be kids getting into it, and they'll be like discovering those tunes as if they were like,
the future, in a way.
Yeah, brand new, but also, you see it with like people discovering like old tech house records, and people like, they're not my cup of tea, but I find like the younger sort of kids coming through are like, this track's like amazing. And for me, it just doesn't do anything, but I just think it's like reminiscent of like the era you grew up in. If you've grown up with that and you just never really connected with it, but to another generation it'll be amazing. So it's sort of almost like it also depends on like where you're from and the movement you were involved in at the time. So like like I can listen to like music from let's think, like trance, 90s trance classics that will just like, I'm not like a huge, like a proper trance fan, but when I was growing up and my sisters were listening to that style of music, I know for some other people, like it just completely is the worst thing ever. But when you grow up and you associate your youth with that type of music, you can't help but have a soft spot for it. And it's like, holds a special place in your heart, even though it might be cheesy. But yeah, I think that'll probably be the same with, like you say, from Rome, you'll maybe have a soft spot for minimal just because it's, very big.
For the record, I don't I don't like it at all, but yes, but totally agree with what you say. Like it's so true, especially like when you link it to early experiences in your life that you connect to, like that becomes almost like your part of your background, your ethos. It's like
hard house in the UK. It's like some of those songs are just like so badly made, but you just can't like, you just love it. It makes me very nostalgic listening to it.
Yeah, it's so interesting also because it's always connected to the experiences you can think of, and that also would help explain why like genres are so subjective. Like preferences for genres is very subjective. I think it's because people connected to that kind of niche or experiences, and some people don't understand it. Yeah,
always the case.
Yeah. Last couple of questions, and we go toward the wrap up. So you played in Ballroom in London in roughly at the end of 2016. How was the experience? So what do you remember of that?
I remember being very nervous.
Yeah.
It was good though in the end. It was actually really good. I was quite surprised that we played pretty well, didn't we?
Yeah.
completely different to how we would play now. But yeah, it was a really good experience. You didn't I was expecting there to be cameras like everywhere and them to just be in your face constantly, but it wasn't like that, was it? It was just, they were quite hidden, so you sort of just relaxed a bit and got into it, so it was good, and had quite a few friends come over for it, so that was nice just to see familiar faces in the crowd. But yeah, it was a really good experience.
Yeah,
I
really
enjoyed
good.
it.
There's we had like a really fun after party, which like one thing that stood out in particular was so like obviously Ben Sims had asked us to play, which was like so good at, you know, at the time. And then like we had an after party with him, and like obviously everyone cut loose a bit too much, Tasha in particular, and she was I don't know why do you know,
You
like
just get a bit silly, don't you?
Yeah.
After parties and
Yeah.
happens.
so go on, I'll let you tell
Yeah,
it.
so me and Ben were just messing about, and for some reason I was getting up on like a kitchen stool and like jumping onto him when he was sat on the sofa, but he was encouraging me. And then I think I went to do it like the third time, and I knocked him in the mouth and I broke his tooth.
Wow. Wow.
It was really bad actually, but I was a bit pissed and whatnot. So, like, just like, oh, it'll be fine. I work in a dental practice. You can get that fixed. It's fine. And
Wow.
his wife was there actually, and she was furious.
I
We're
was
actually good
furious.
mates now,
More
so
than
it's
him.
fine.
I was furious. I was absolutely furious because I told Tash, I was like, look, don't, like, I just had a feeling something bad was going to happen. And like me and Rachel, Ben's wife, were just sort of like, we think we both knew something was going to happen. And sure enough, like his tooth snapped in half. And like,
It wasn't in half.
well,
It wasn't that bad. It was a good chunk out of it, but I wouldn't say it was snapped in half.
Yeah, I would be furious if that happened to me, put it that way.
I'd still be fuming if it happened to me.
Yeah.
He took it very well though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think because everyone was like, he was quite drunk and so were you.
He didn't
So,
realize
yeah.
that until the day after, probably.
Yeah, I had to send him a message the day after, like, I'm so sorry. But
Wow.
no, he was cool about it. He was fine.
Yeah, it's a good story to tell now.
Yeah.
But at the time I was
So-
like, Tash, you really need to sort your life out.
Yeah, it was quite funny actually. So we had him playing for us like the following year.
Yeah.
So in his hotel room, we left him a mouth guard. Because it happens again. So yeah, it was quite funny.
And he probably worried when he met you again. I was like, okay,
Oh yeah.
throwing his mouth.
Yeah, but yeah, no, the boiler room was a really good experience though, and
It's definitely helped as a catalyst, hasn't it,
Yeah.
to where we got to this point. And we were actually meant to be playing another boiler room, but it got cancelled naturally, as you'd expect. It was meant to be in the middle of March, I think it was, wasn't it?
yeah.
And it was going to be a hard dance one in Istanbul.
Wow.
We were really excited to play it. There was Remco
Big
Well,
Yeah.
Australia.
Lockyer.
Yeah, and there was
Was there someone else?
forget who else was playing, but yeah, it was meant to be really, yeah, I was really looking forward to it. We both were, but you know, hopefully it can be rescheduled. But it's quite cool to, you know, that we were asked to play it, even if it doesn't come to fruition again. But that would have been like, you know, a nice way to sort of, it's like an update on your sound, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
Very cool.
So
It must be
Yeah.
also interesting to watch it like 4 years apart and be like, okay, this is us 4 years ago and now. It's like crazy.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, so excited. Hopefully, if that, you know, I'm sure it'll be rescheduled, but it'll be nice to sort of to see to be given the experience to play exactly how we want now. You know, a hard dance boiler room sort of gives you the sort of the card to do what you
Whatever
want.
you want.
Yeah. So
It's very cool. Yeah. And eventually you also ended up releasing on Ben Sims' label on Machine. So how did that go? Like, are you happy with the result? You released it 2 years ago almost, like now. How was the process? Do you enjoy working with him after the
Yeah.
Accent.
Well, he asked us to do it, so
Yeah,
he
he's
can't
still-
be that mad.
No, he still speaks to us, which is, yeah, we're still really good pals with Ben. We hopefully, fingers crossed, have him playing in November if everything goes ahead. So the first time he's been back to play for us in a couple of years. But the question,
I'd like with that track, to be honest, like first and foremost, we are DJs rather than producers. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that we were 100% happy with it, but it's like it's all right. Like I wouldn't. Yeah, it's not my favourite production of ours, but
It's a stepping stone, right? Eventually, it's like, I think it's a stepping stone to where you are now. It was made 2 years ago.
definitely.
It's part of you.
And obviously it was our first track as well, and Ben actually asked us like maybe 6 months before for a track, but then we didn't hear anything from him, and then like 2 weeks before it was due to be submitted, he was like, how are you getting on with that track? And we're like, oh shit, like we've not even done anything. So like it was a bit of a mad rush to get it done.
yeah, but we're really grateful to him for him, you know, to ask us to do it.
And he seemed happy with it. Like, yeah, he was happy with it. So, and also off the back of that track, we ended up playing at Trezor for Marine's night. She runs the New Faces party. So, yeah, that was really nice that she really did the track. So, I think we're always going to be critical of our own work. So I don't think I'm ever going to be one of those people that's 100% happy with, you know, what we're producing. So, and there's always room for improvement as well. So where do you stop? So
yeah, we'll get there eventually, but I just think it'll be a lot slower because, yeah, for me, like it's always been important to just be happy with. I'd rather be a DJ over a producer any day. And I think I have to, you know, it took a few years of like just trying to you have to be honest with yourself. And it's like, I'm not gifted at production. And, you know, it's definitely always been a struggle. So but as long as I'm giving like 110% in my DJ, well, we are giving 100%, 110% in our DJ sets, then that, you know, doesn't make me feel too unhappy. And you know, I think ultimately you're going out to see a DJ play a good set, so as long as that's on point, I mean, it's an absolute, I think it's incredible if you can be good at both. But I think there will always be, and I do always think there'll always be one sort of thing that you're better at, you know, so but we'll get there. We will get an EP together. We are, you know, producing, and we'll get there, but it will just be slower.
And it's very personal. As long as you are happy with the DJ, like, do you really have to produce? Not really. I mean, I think it's
and we've sort of said to ourselves, we're not going to rush it. Like, there's no point in rushing things. We'll put stuff out when we're happy with it. So. Not putting too much pressure on ourselves there. So
it'll come.
It's a great thing. And going toward the wrap up, one question is, if you were to leave one piece of advice or one of your acquired skills to any of your hypothetical daughters or kids, what would that be? One each of you. Anything you've learned in these years that you think would be interesting for someone to pass it on to someone else?
I guess I would, if I had kids, I would love to teach them how to DJ, but I mean, it's pretty difficult, isn't it? Like, you've tried it with your nieces and nephews. I think sort of like switch off, don't they? But advice-wise, I'd just say do what makes you happy, really. I'm not really wouldn't push them to do anything that they didn't really want to do. So, just do what makes you happy.
I think also just, I think it's easy. It's so easy to say this now from a position of like, you know, where we've managed to get to, but also just like sticking to what you really like want to do, and don't be influenced by, you know, social media. I mean, it's easy for everyone to look at social media and be influenced to think you should be doing something, but just stick to what your own path, and, you know, sort of stuff will come to you.
Yeah.
Eventually.
Super important to remind ourselves of this, and not get carried over with just being envious of other people. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it really helps to just switch off from social media, because, you know, sometimes if you've, you know, again, it feeds into the creative mind, that, you know, comparison. You're always comparing yourself with other people. So I think as you mature a little bit, you start to be like, do you know what, you're on your own path, and you shouldn't let other people cloud your vision. That's, yeah, it's a skill to do that, but, you know, everyone does it in every aspect of, you know, their lives. So
Yes.
yeah, it's just a natural sort of human sort of
behavior.
Yeah,
Totally. Yes. This is we're going to leave the last question. So what question would you like us to ask to our next guest? Could be anything.
What's your favourite sandwich filling?
Oh, okay, interesting.
I would say, yeah, ask them what their real guilty pleasure is, like music wise.
Can we have 2 questions then, one each?
Yeah, because, you know, all these super cool DJs can't be listening to cool music all of their life. They've got to have grown up on some like cheesy sort of music. So I'd be keen to know their real guilty pleasure. Yeah.
I love this question. Who knows, like, who's gonna get the question? It's gonna be interesting. And as you can imagine, and don't blame me for the messenger for that, but I have a question for you from our previous guest.
Okay.
Is do you still speak with your previous boyfriend, your first boyfriend or girlfriend?
No.
No.
I've that was a long time ago, and we live in different countries now. So yeah. Not that I wouldn't speak to them if I saw them in the street, but yeah.
But no.
I don't either. Yeah.
No.
Although Lily, we speak to Lily.
Yeah.
Tash's ex is actually one of our good friends, but like your first boyfriend or girlfriend, no, that was first. Years ago.
Yeah.
Too old to speak with them anymore.
Yeah.
Great. This has been an absolute pleasure. Super fun to speak with you and meet you via screen, but very fun.
Yeah.
Any latest projects? Anything you would like to point people's attention to? Anything that you think is important?
Yeah. So we've got a few mixes coming up. So there's one for Ravage, which will be quite cool. I think that's coming out on the 18th of May.
Yeah.
And we're doing one for a party called Inferno.
Oh, in London, yes.
Yeah. So and there's a live recording of our set when we played at Inner City in Leeds. That's for Red Bull. So yeah, a few bits coming out. We wouldn't usually put that many mixes out, but obviously with the current situation, sort of with that happen. So also we're doing a remix for Road Ranger. So that should be. I'm not too sure when that's coming out, but he's an artist that he's probably one of my favourite artists at the minute. Like really bringing that old school sound back with a sort of like a modern take on it. And he's from, I forget where he is. I think he's a resident at Lehman Club in Germany. So yeah, he's like really like sort of just not come out of nowhere, but he's just gaining a lot of momentum at the moment. So yeah, really loving his stuff. So yeah, we're doing a remix for him, so I'm not sure when that's coming out. And other than that, we're doing a live stream tomorrow for the Queen's Yard Summer Party. So that's, I'm not sure when this is coming out.
Yeah, actually, good point. Yeah, so that'll be all up on our Facebook anyway. So if anyone fancies
Amazing, yeah. And I'll make sure that I'll ask you all the links, the relevant links after after this chat. So we'll link everything in the show notes. But yeah, thank you. It has been a pleasure. Very good to meet you, and thank you for making time.
Thank you.
Brilliant.
Very
Thanks so much, Joseph.
Right,
take care.
My pleasure. Bye bye. Have a good day.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.